وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان ولكن جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء من عبادنا وإنك لتهدي إلى صراط مستقيم صراط الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ألا إلى الله تصير الأمور.
Remember, just remember, Allah sees it all.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulil Kareem, wa ala ali wa ashabi, wa man istanna bi sunnati ila yawmiddin. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be on the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and on all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. Dear viewers, we'd like to welcome you to another in our series, In the Names of Allah. And in this segment, we'll be looking at the name As-Salaam. As-Salaam, which is the 8th of the names that we are covering in this series. This name can only be found in one place in the Quran. It is in Surah Al-Hashr, verse 23, Al-Malikul Quddus As-Salam, the Sovereign, the Holy, the Bestower of Peace. Linguistically speaking, it is derived from salam or salama. So the meaning is either free from defects, safe, and well-being. When a person gives the greeting salam alaikum, it means one is informing fellow believer that they are free and safe from any hostility from our side. But with respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this name means on one hand that Allah is free from any defects and deficiencies, like Al-Quddus that we took earlier, and also that He will greet the believers in paradise, as He said in Surah Yasin, Salamun qawlam min Rabbir Rahim, peace, a greeting from the most merciful Lord. The effects of this belief, or belief in this particular name, As-Salaam, for the believer, it should ensure him or her that they will not be denied the fruit of their sacrifices. Whatever sacrifices they have made, whatever efforts they have striven for, they will not be denied its fruits. As the Prophet ﷺ informed that a believer has to live in a self-imposed prison in this life, while the disbeliever is free to roam around and to do whatever he or she pleases. He said, Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir. This world is a prison for the believer and paradise for the disbeliever. So it means that the believer has to make sacrifices. He imposes on himself this denial, where he denies himself certain things. The belief in the name As-Salaam ensures him that that sacrifice will not be in vain. It is something which Allah has commanded. Allah being free from defects, His promise will be fulfilled. In reality, though people tend to look at Islam, those practicing Islam, that it's all a matter of don't do this and don't do that and don't do the other. But this is not really the case. Reality is that the majority of things we are permitted to do. There's only a minority, a small amount of things which we can't do. Like Adam in paradise, the whole garden was his except for one tree. All that is in life before us is the same way. The forbidden things are few. Only Satan has beautified these forbidden things and made us feel that our lives are incomplete unless we do these particular forbidden things. Otherwise, really, there's not really that much of a sacrifice because there's so much that we can do. But due to the pressures of the society around us, our desires, etc., it is a struggle. We do feel it and live it as a struggle. So, is it worthwhile? When this life for the disbeliever is a paradise, we see them enjoying themselves in all the different ways. Our belief in As-Salaam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from any defects in what He has promised us. It is true. It's the truth, 100%. It gives us confidence to stick on the right path, stay with the way of Islam, and to give up those other things, not get involved in them, knowing that there is really no value in them. Those things which have been forbidden are harmful. And that's why Allah forbade them. Not just to make life difficult for us, but to protect us from harm. Whether we're able to see the harm, as in the case of alcohol and gambling, or whether we can't see the harm, as in the case of pork and other forbidden things. Secondly, belief that peace, safety, and well-being comes only ultimately from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages the believer to turn to Allah for peace of mind and contentment. His belief or her belief that peace, well-being, safety ultimately comes from Allah should lead him to remember Allah often, because Allah told us, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub." It is only with the remembrance of Allah that hearts find rest. So that instruction tells us where we need to look for finding rest for our hearts. People in this world run after that state of rest everywhere but where they should be looking. So they spend their lives trying to gather as much materials around themselves and to try and find, pleasure or find contentment or happiness in the material world. But reality is that those people who have the most of this material world live wretched lives. Were material truly the source of contentment and peace of mind and heart, then those who had the most wealth would be the most contented and peaceful. But reality is exactly the opposite. So we know ultimately that peace and contentment only comes from Allah. So we seek it through following His commandments, through remembering Him, because following His commandments requires us to remember Him, to live a life which reflects a consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On a human level, if we look at this attribute of Allah being, again, we said As-Salaam, the source of peace and security, as He provides that peace and security for us as believers, we should also seek to provide peace and security for our brothers and sisters in Islam, for the world. We should not be a source of insecurity and war. Reality is that Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-Muslim man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadi." The true Muslim is one from whose tongue and hands Muslims are safe. That's the true Muslim. One from whose tongue he's not speaking ill, cursing, using backbiting, spreading rumors. People are safe from that. And also from his hands. He's not stealing their property. He's not striking them. He's not creating harm. So he should also be a source of salam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate source that has provided it for him in that society or her in that society, they should also reflect that to the rest of the society. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had also said, "Shall I tell you who the true believer is? one from whom people feel secure regarding their wealth and their persons. The true believer is one from whom people feel secure regarding their wealth and their persons. So, this is part of the effects that the name As-Salaam should have on us. Make us a source of security for the society. People feel secure when they're around us. And that's how the Muslim society should be. Now, in terms of praying using this name, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, after prayers, after saying Astaghfirullah 3 times, I ask forgiveness from Allah, he used to say, Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam, tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. O Allah, you are peace, and peace comes from you. May you be blessed, O owner of glory and peace. So he commonly used to say this after the prayers. Also, he instructed us to spread peace in the society, because the bond of brotherhood, sisterhood in the society is critical for that society to be a healthy society, where people feel a bonding between themselves and the other members of the society. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said, you will not enter paradise until you believe, and you will not believe until you love each other. Shall I not guide you to something which if you did it, you will love each other? Spread the greetings of peace among yourselves. Spread the greetings of peace among yourselves. This was the recommendation of the Prophet ﷺ, that we constantly greet each other with peace. As-Salamu alaykum. Also, the greetings of peace help to bond people in a brotherhood. So we talked about, very important for having that sense and that feeling of brotherhood. And one might think, okay, yes, we give salams, but who is responsible? The tendency is for people who are in a position of authority or whatever, everybody else has to give salams to him or her. They don't bother to give salams. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, to get away from that, gave us even the order by which peace greetings should be given. Each and every person has another person who either he will begin to give the greetings to, or they will give the greetings to him. Depending on what position they're in, the Prophet ﷺ advised who has the first responsibility. We're going to be looking at that responsibility after the break, inshallah. So we leave you now and hope to see you again after the break, shortly after this break. As-Salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When you are weak and the road seems long, remember, just remember, seek strength from the strong. Remember, just remember, seek strength from the strong.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, back to our program, In the Names of Allah. And in this segment of the program, we're looking at the name, the 8th name, As-Salaam. And we said that it meant the bestower of peace, the source of peace. And we spoke about its relevance to the believer in general. We said at first that the knowledge that Allah, first and foremost, is free of defects like